Hey, I'm James from Smoking Out Barbecue, and today I'm answering the question of, is it worth it? And by worth it, I mean spending nearly 2 to 3 times more on a pellet grill with an integrated smoke box, like the Spits and Pits version, or behind me, the Camp Chef Woodwind Pro, versus the lowly 20 bucks on Amazon pellet smoke tube. So to find out, I picked up 2 briskets, trimmed them practically within a few ounces of each other, and I'm gonna smoke them side by side to find out if all that fancy tech and money is worth it to turning out better barbecue. Now, I love doing head-to-head videos. I've done them on offsets with things like my Oklahoma Joes as the cheap offset versus premium offsets. I've done them with cheap Kamados versus premium Kamados, or kettles versus premium kettles, everything in between. But one thing I've never done that I get asked all the time is it worth spending more for a premium pellet grill versus very well rated ones that come in around 500 bucks. So later this spring, I'm doing a best of different categories and options for a grill in and around $500. And so Z Grills sent me their 700 2C 2E pellet grill to be part of that test. A year ago, I put this Camp Chef Woodwind through a battery of tests compared to my Masterbuilt Gravity Series or my Oklahoma Joe or even the Connected Joe. And I didn't find a year ago that the smoke box put it anywhere close to offset quality, let alone even some charcoal grills. But the one thing I didn't do is put it side by side against a regular pellet grill using a tube smoker. So that's exactly what's in store today. For our briskets, I picked up 2 as close as I could find briskets from Costco, and I gave them a trim to the point where I had them weighing within just a few ounces of each other. So that's why one looks a little bit different in terms of the point end. It had a larger mohawk that I trimmed off and saved for my burger grind. And speaking of saving, I also took advantage of all the free fat that comes on our briskets and turned that into some smoked tallow so we could inject that prior to getting them onto the 2 smokers. I only injected the flat, as I find that's where you get most of the benefit. There's plenty of natural intermuscular fat in the point end, and we don't need to supplement that with our tallow injection. And I was able to have enough of a jar to save for another day and or adding into any briskets that I'll be wrapping in the future. For my seasoning, this is the rub recipe that I share on my website. I moved the recipes to the website as I make little changes, always trying to get it to the best possible. But when I make a change, I can't remember which of these videos descriptions I put the recipe. So that's why there's always a link now to the recipe. But this is my Texas SPG rub ratio, which was inspired by the best things from Goldie's, Franklin's, and Black's, along with a few other alterations to get our family's absolute favorite Texas style salt, pepper, garlic rub with a few extra ingredients. So that is available on the website for free. And speaking of free, if you've never signed up before for the newsletter, you sign up, there's a temperature guide that will show up in your inbox, giving you some common tips and tricks and temperatures for things that you're cooking at home. But for these briskets, I hit them with my homemade dry rub and let that marinate or dry brine in the refrigerator for about a day's worth before getting ready to smoke these. And then last night, this is when our cook actually started. So there's a couple different choices we have when smoking briskets on a pellet grill. And I find you're making sort of trade-offs to gain one thing, but you're sacrificing something else. So if you want a brisket that looks most like what I could cook on my offset smoker, we need to run a higher temperature in order to get that dark bark. So the pros are you get dark bark as well as the top, the fat cap renders. But as good as this looks, often it falls way short on flavor because pellets burning hot and nice clean fires while they darken up the bark, they don't inject near as much flavor based on the BTU that you get from pellets versus real wood splits. Plus, both of these grills, the brisket sits very close proximity to the heat deflector plate, and running temperatures like 270 degrees Fahrenheit in order to do that often burns the bottom and you get some shredding. The opposite of this approach, where you want to get great smoke, you can use the super smoke setting. Both of these grills have a super smoke setting of sorts, which is 160 degrees Fahrenheit. And so if you start here, you get a lot of great smoke, but running such cool temperatures, you can struggle to render the fat cap as well as get that signature Texas style brisket. So I'm going to take a little bit of the best of both worlds and go with a laddered approach where we start with a couple hours on super smoke, then bump up to 180 degrees for a few hours, and then finally 225 degrees all the way until the morning. When I woke up, I was able to put these in a foil boat and then crank the heat for that last 20-25 degrees or so of internal temperature until we reached probe tenderness, take them off, let them rest, and they've been in a hot hold in the oven set to 140 degrees Fahrenheit all day until we are ready for service at dinner time tonight. We will be doing a blind taste test to see if you can actually appreciate the difference between the full second generation pellet smoker with integrated smoke box versus the pellet tube smoker. Let me know down in the comments what you think will win, and I'll see you a little bit later on today when we're ready to do our blind taste test. Okay, our two briskets have just come out of the hot hold, and as it is still negative 11 degrees here, my game plan is I'm going to move fairly quick. But I've got two plates, and I've matched the brisket. So this is the Z, so I put a Z up here for the Z grills, and then a W for the Woodwind, and I will keep things in this order. So on my left, your right will be the Woodwind, and on my right, your left will be the Z grills, and I'll keep everything in order here. I'll get a couple slices and take everything inside so it doesn't freeze up, as we have some company coming over for dinner, and then invite Sarah out to guess which is which. So without further ado, let's get our briskets out. Beauty. Let's get a couple slices out of our flat end as well as our point. Kind of come midsection here. Looks pretty good and juicy to me. See how we do on our tenderness. Hanging, folding, flopping, and ever so slightly pulling apart tender. Put these on our Z grill plate. Very juicy. Our point end. Get a couple slices out of our Woodwind, a couple fibers hanging on there. Then we compare a little bit less smoke ring on the Woodwind, which is interesting given that that had some real wood versus just the pellets and pellet tube. But not a whole lot to tell those apart just by the eye. So again, hanging, feels incredibly tender, just barely hanging on, and breaks apart. So just a couple degrees over, I think, on tenderness, but not bad. Nearly hanging on. Looks pretty good. Get a slice out of our point. Juicy again. I'll be right back so this doesn't freeze, and I'll go grab Sarah. Hello.
Hi.
All right, so we have two different briskets today, and I need your help since I know what is what and they know what is what.
Yep.
But we are looking to see if there is any difference. So the only thing I will tell you is I put the point end on the right-hand side on each side, and the flat is on the left. I've got a napkin. Why don't you start brisket 1, brisket 2, whichever one you like.
Okay, we'll see.
Do the flat.
Flat? All right.
Okay, I'll grab a piece of that too.
Okay.
You want to try flat brisket 2?
All right. And then brisket 2. This is difficult.
Is there a difference? Do you like one better than the other?
James, honestly, if you wouldn't have told me, I would have thought you cut these from the same brisket.
Okay, well let's try the point end. I don't want to reveal anything else yet. So do you want to do the same order?
Yeah. All right, let's do the same.
Okay.
Okay.
Grab a piece of point.
This is the point?
Yep.
Okay.
Do the same.
I'm going to tear it. These are huge pieces.
I think they're perfect. Like, burnt end.
So it's yummy. Okay, that's another one. Okay. I gotta split this one in half.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay. So, okay, this is difficult. I'm really trying to. If I had to choose.
Do you like one better than the
Yes, I would. If I had to choose, I would pick this one.
Okay. Why? This is brisket number 2.
Brisket 2.
Okay.
They are so similar. I feel like there's a little bit more depth of flavor here. Not a ton. They are both, honestly, like I'm grasping for differences. And the texture's just a little bit juicier.
Right.
It's not much like that, but I just think this one's a touch drier than that one.
Well, two briskets are always different. So we did 2 different briskets.
Yes,
so just in case there's a difference in juiciness,
right?
They were both prepped the same. They were both injected with tallow, both brined.
Yeah.
So I won't score any juiciness because I don't think the smoker has anything to do with that. But flavor, how about smoke flavor?
Right.
Is one stronger? Do you like one better? Or again, are you grasping at straws and equal?
Flavor. They're so similar. I would say flavor, smokiness, this one is a little bit better. Depth of flavor. Why are we laughing?
I'm laughing because every video is like, I don't like smoke.
Yeah, but it's good. Like in certain things, it's yummy.
All right.
I meant smoke, like smoke is a flavor here and it's delicious.
It is.
I didn't mean that it's a bad thing in this scenario.
Which of these 2 grills do you think is the premium sort of generation 2 with a smoke box designed to enhance smoke flavor?
Probably this one. Am I correct?
No.
Oh no! Oh no!
So
see, maybe you need to find someone else to taste us brisket with you.
But that's the point. That's the point. Is so what I did here. So this right here is the Z Grill pellet grill. Okay. Which is sort of the $500 pellet smoker category. Yeah. But I added the $20 smoking pellet tube, which is what everyone typically does with a pellet grill before Generation 2.
Yeah.
Generation 2, so there's 2 manufacturers, Pits and Spits as well as Camp Chef with the Woodwind Pro, that come with an integrated firebox. So this was burning real wood chunks inside the firebox. And this was sort of the old-fashioned way, or the way that everyone does it with pellet grills, adding a supplemental pellet tube.
Right.
So now that you know that this grill is $500, this as loaded with the sidekick is $1,500, without it $1,000. So it's 2 to 3 times the price.
Yes.
For food quality alone, which one do you like better still?
I would, that one, yeah. I would do that one, especially if it is. They are both delicious briskets, but if we were really grasping for differences, I would do that one, for sure.
Well, now it's not to say, I will say again, like there are some of those luxury features. It's like the Woodwind did a good job. If I show you the meter chart, you haven't seen that. But it did a flatter line. It also has sort of the gasket material, some nice fit and finishes. But those are going to be advantages sort of you have to address yourself and say, does this really something that I need or want? But if we're going to focus on flavor, which I think all good barbecue is about, we saw here today that price does not make a difference in terms of the quality of the brisket.
No, not at all. It's delicious. And they both are delicious, but yeah, delicious.
All right, well, that's a wrap. Thanks so much for hanging out. I'm James from Soaking Dad Barbecue signing off. Remember, don't be afraid to fire it up.